after that. So next item is delegations, and we have all of our candidates here this evening, I believe. And so we will start with the first candidate, and we have Monique Antoine Hartley. So please come to the table and proceed when you're ready.
Through you, your worship, sorry, just a couple procedural. So each candidate will have 10 minutes to speak. If you do get to the 8-minute mark, I will stop you and warn you at that time that you're at 8 minutes. We'll proceed to 10 minutes and then your time will be over and the next candidate will come forward. After all of the candidates have had a chance to speak, then we will move forward to voting. So each counselor will get a ballot. We'll do the voting right away.
You're going to ask me the questions? Is that what you said? To introduce myself, I'm Monique Antoine Hartley. I am a lifelong resident of this township. I was born and raised on a dairy farm in Sealy's Bay, went away to university, returned, married a guy I went to grade 1 with, bought a home here, had my career in this area, and I'm looking forward to this interview.
Perfect. Thank you. So each of the questions were given to all of the candidates. So the first question is, what prompted you to apply to serve on council? The second question is, what experiences from your personal or professional life do you see as strengths in shaping how you would approach serving on council? And the third question is, what are the most important issues that the Township of Leeds and Thousand Islands is facing?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the first question, what prompted me to apply to serve on council? I'd first like to thank council for this opportunity to elaborate on that motivation to apply for the position of Councillor Ward 2. I have been a close observer of township activity and appreciate the efforts of both Councillor Kelman and Councillor Jameson as they represent and represented Ward 2 with integrity. My parents chose to buy a farm in this township in the 1950s, specifically the Sealy's Bay area. I was born here, but it was my choice to stay, work, marry, raise my daughter, give back, and love this community and all that it offers. My connections and understanding of the hardworking people who also choose to live here and the skills I acquired in my career make me an excellent choice to represent Ward 2. My motivation is to work collaboratively and respectfully with council and staff to give a voice to our residents and help them make sense of the new realities as they navigate the changing world we're all faced with. Why not use the leadership skills that I acquired in my 38-year career and my connections to the community to extend my service to the people of this township, and specifically Ward 2, to actively listen to the needs and concerns of residents and be their voice while collaborating with council and staff to make decisions, establish policy, and develop creative solutions within the guidelines set out for us. Therefore, knowing that I have the necessary skills and the desire to make a difference for my fellow residents through serving my community, I was prompted to apply for the position of Ward 2 Councillor. Question 2, what experience from my personal and professional life do I see as strengths? Over the course of my career in education, including 19 years as an elementary principal, I have experienced a number of legislative changes that have required me to develop transferable skills that will support me in the role of councillor. As a school administrator, I managed all aspects of the school community using a balance of leadership qualities, including knowledge, interpersonal skills, communication, organizational and time management skills to navigate the complexities of the educational environment. My communication skills were instrumental in my decision-making process They guided me to ask the right questions, to probe deeper for understanding, and analyze all data to ensure that potential solutions were informed, taking into consideration the impact of a decision, assessment of risk, as well as planning proactively for any of the challenges. Making informed decisions is important, but the ability to effectively communicate the reasons for a decision is pivotal to building trust as the expectations and next steps are planned and implemented. Being able to interpret and implement government legislation, policy, and procedure is important to this role. In education, there's no end to new legislation, new curriculum, new procedures, new collective agreements that needed to be communicated and made to work for each school. It called for some creative problem solving, as there are no two schools alike, just as there are no two communities alike. And it's important to factor that knowledge into your decisions. This was where my ability to build trusting relationships was essential to my role. Given the ever-changing political landscape, updated new legislation, as well as the provincial downloading to municipalities, my time collaboratively working in the gray areas of the black and white will be an asset to the council discussions and decisions that affect our residents. While managing the board school budget, I was responsible for the allocation of the funds effectively and transparently. I had to be cognizant of the impact of spending funds on items that would need to be maintained or someday replaced and plan for those events. This is not unlike the need of council to plan their budget along the lines of asset management, planning for new purchases, maintenance of roads, refurbishing of infrastructure, etc. I understand that it is a tricky balance and that not everyone will be happy with decisions. But I'm prepared to work as a team to problem solve and find creative ways to lessen the impact on residents. I have a strong volunteer presence in Ward 2. As co-chair of Sabara, I represent the community on Pier. I also participate on the Frost Fest Committee, the Canada Day Committee, the branch executive of the Sillies Bay Legion 491, as well as several committees for the Sillies Bay United Church Pastoral Charge. I am a member of the Elgin and Area Heritage Society and assist them each spring with their planning and implementation of school programming at the Red Brick Schoolhouse. Finally, I am a 39-year member of the Ontario Order of the Eastern Star, where I served 7 terms as worthy matron. My involvement in each of these organizations gives me a great deal of personal satisfaction and allows me to use my experience and skills to give back to my community. My experience as a school administrator and a volunteer in my community have provided me with the strength and knowledge necessary to represent residents and collaborate with council and staff as we enter uncertain futures. Question number 3. What are the most important issues that the Township of Leeds and Thousand Islands is facing? Due to the current world circumstances, my response to what the most important issues facing our township are quite fluid. In my opinion, the largest challenges are the unknown ones that will arise from political uncertainty initiated by the Canada-US relationship. Being a border community, our economic futures are tied to respectful relationships between those governments, which provide jobs and economic stability to our region. Food security and housing in general, let alone affordable housing, as well as attracting new business and supporting existing local businesses, is already a challenge, and I'm concerned that our ability to address those areas will worsen under a strained political climate. It has always been a delicate balance between providing adequate infrastructure and services for our community and fluctuating seasonal population. As we struggle to make decisions in regards to balancing environmental concerns, such as protection of delicate ecosystems with tourism and the need for updated infrastructure, it will be our obligation to consider what our taxpayers are able to tolerate as they struggle to maintain the quality of life they have come to expect. In closing, I do not have the answers to these challenges. I don't think any of us do at this time. They say the best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. I have proved I have the skills, experience, and moral compass to diligently work to find solutions when faced with a challenge. I give my word as a fellow township resident that I will use
Monique.
these traits.
Sorry, I just wanted to let you know you're at 8 minutes. You have 2 minutes left.
Great, thank you. I give my word as a fellow township resident that I will use these traits to listen to residents across the entire township, be thoughtful and respectful in my collaboration with council and staff, and look for creative solutions within the guidelines set beyond the council table. Thank you once again for your consideration, and I look forward to the opportunity to work with each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So does anybody have any questions for clarity? Because we have a minute left. If anybody has a question? Okay. Well, thank you very much for your delegation, and we'll move on to the next candidate, which is John Paul Jackson.
Please interrupt me if I'm too loud or too soft. I'm only wearing one hearing aid tonight, so. Madam Chair, members of council, township staff, fellow candidates, members of the public. Most of you have heard me answer why I want to represent my community at the council table at least 4 times over the last 11 years. But it bears repeating because it is sincerely who I am. My family, like many in our township, has faced hardships, but we are still far better off than most. It's that gap, in addition to the experiences, the life lessons I've learned, and the opportunities that I've had, that have guided me to accept a mantra that I've tried to follow most of my adult life. And that is that I believe our purpose in life is to leave a mark, to do what's best for everyone, and to create a legacy that inspires others to do the exact same. I'd like to quote, actually, in a more eloquent way, what I heard recently on a movie I watched. What we do in life echoes for eternity. As for what I hope to bring to the council table, I believe my application speaks for itself, but I'll reiterate it publicly. I've had the privilege of serving on committees of our township council over the years, including the first Casino Reserve Fund Committee, our Economic Development Committee, and our Youth Advisory Committee. I've crafted some of our first policies included in the townships, including the original procurement policy our township adopted in 2006 under Mayor Frank Kinsella. Alongside Ms. Skatchke, I was one of the founding members of our township's Taxpayers Association. Beyond governance, in addition to being awarded the Queen Elizabeth Silver Jubilee Medal for my past volunteer efforts, here at home, I volunteered at the Lansdowne Fair, the Lyndhurst Turkey Fair, and our Seniors Expo. Over the 2 years of COVID-19 pandemic, I contributed to our community through volunteer work with the town of Gananoque, the Eastern Ontario Community Angels, all of the local vaccination clinics, as well as distributing food from our local food bank to those residents who could not make it there. As well, I provided free income tax services to our low-income families and senior citizens. It's a practice I still continue today, by the way. During my time on TLT Council, I was deeply involved with staff and instrumental in bringing forward to council meetings initiatives like our Paved Shoulder Strategy, the adoption of a code of conduct for council members, and the creation of the Lyndhurst Creek walking trail, something I'm quite proud of because it was one of the major initiatives that I worked and started. I also helped establish the Contractors Dock in Gananoque. And with my late friend, Councillor Harold Emmons, introduced a motion recommending an interest-free loan for the Lansdowne Medical Center, which in fact was passed. I also worked with the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville to develop their current paved shoulder strategy. I bring 17 years of service in the Canadian Armed Forces, where I served both at home and abroad. I hold a Bachelor of Commerce degree focusing on economic development, budgeting, ethics, and finance. I'm also a certified professional accountant with over 30 years of experience in auditing, tax, and budgeting. My familiarity with the township's procedures and website ensures that I can navigate the system efficiently, allowing me to make informed decisions with information available in an expeditious manner. For the past 3 years, I've been employed with a top-ranked Fortune 500 company where we take pride in our work ethic, integrity, and respect for each other. My duties involve guiding lower-tier employees with complicated federal and provincial tax matters, assisting them with technology, software, and communication issues. All of these experiences and skills show that I can work effectively with the rest of you, regardless of past differences, and bring insight that complement the existing skills at the table as we tackle the important issues facing our township. And before addressing the issues, I'd like to say that I think they're all compounded by very specific issues: rising costs in our insurance policies, our policing, and the human resources issues that we face, in addition to the downloading of services and the increasing regulations from upper tier levels of government. As to the issues themselves, I believe the most important relate to the 4 pillars you continue to build yourself upon. As an example, it's difficult to hold up the pillar of promoting quality of life and environmental stewardship, especially where it includes our solid waste management issues and the constant maintenance and capital costs related to improving the township's water quality, when on the one hand, we have a relatively small tax or user base, all responsible for the costs and maintenance of both the current and the future capital expenditures. And on the other hand, the requirement to monitor the actual overall tax increases our township face. Pillar number 2, delivering effective and accountable government, which means also protecting future generations by way of our asset management plan and the prudent funding needed to build, maintain, and leave for them an infrastructure that will provide the same or better lifestyle that we currently enjoy. And then, of course, we have our desire to enhance community safety and well-being, pillar number 3, including the delivery of recreation and leisure programming that contributes to an active, healthy lifestyle. And pillar number 4, fostering jobs and economic development. Here again, we want to deliver effective and accountable government, not only in the face of the rising costs I spoke to earlier. We also have the challenge of matching the delivery of the initiatives included in these pillars to a constant changing demographic, including an aging population, a youth that is moving out of our community because of a lack of affordable housing, job opportunities, and a lack of transportation, And now, has already been alluded to by Monique, we have Donald Trump disrupting our economy, the retirement funds of many in our community built through investment opportunities over many years, and potentially jobs related to our tourism sector and those related to cross-border services. Again, with the skill sets I offer, I believe I can bring forward ideas and work with all of you towards reinforcing those pillars. In closing, I'd like to share that I truly understand the need for mutual respect and collaboration, despite our differing opinions and our past challenges. As Ms. Miscacci has emphasized several times, we need to approach all matters with cooperation and constructive dialogue. I'm committed to fostering that atmosphere with council and working towards common goals for the betterment of our township. With my experience, skills, and dedication to our community, I'm confident I can make a meaningful contribution, and it would be an honor to serve on council. Once again, I thank all of you for your consideration, and I thank those behind me that have put their names before you tonight for their care, concern, and appreciation for our township.
Thank you. We have a few minutes left. Are there any comments or questions in regards to the presentation? I have no hands up, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
So our next candidate is Sarah Jean Merling. Did I say that correctly? Merling, thank you.
Hello, thank you for seeing me. I'm excited about this, also terribly nervous. I am not nearly as well prepared as the two previous candidates. Let me just say that. I wanted to start a little bit about myself because as someone who has only been a full-time resident here for 5 years, I am an unbelievable newcomer. Having said that, from a big city, no less, I spent 30 years in Toronto. Although I did grow up as a military brat all across North America and hit my teenage years in Kingston. We have a rural property in Ward 2, and I run a small business on the main street of Lansdowne, Sarah's Boho Vintage, which is a boutique retail outlet. I'm only open on the weekends, which is actually related to the nature of bustling downtown Lansdowne. We simply don't see people shopping in the village anymore. So that leads me to what prompted me to apply to serve on council. I've always been an engaged member of my community. In fact, I joined LAFR in late 2022, just after I opened my shop. And I learned to put away some of my big city assumptions, but continue to bring, I would say, occasionally new thinking to the group. I believe that an effective and responsive community infrastructure at the township level is part of what makes for a happy and engaged and progressive populace. Moving from a massive metropolitan area to a township that celebrates our agri-heritage, our natural world, and the various village lifestyles means my efforts as a volunteer or worker in the community will, I believe, actually have greater effect. Sometimes in Toronto, the volunteerism feels like it dissipates. I have a keen interest in how things work in my community, and based on my conversations with fellow residents, customers, and other members of the community, I sometimes feel that our citizens feel there's an opacity to the township and decision-making processes. And so I want to understand and assist with that, as well as communicating back to constituents exactly what is happening. For example, the difficulty in actually accessing minutes to meetings and discussions on the website, so many that page not found, can be quite frustrating. And finally, what prompted me was I actually have a lot of skills and experience that I'd be excited to bring to the context of our township council and to work collaboratively with staff and other members of council to move forward the organization's, the township's strategic plans. What experiences from my personal or professional life do I bring? Well, I often refer to my former professional work as being a theater producer. In fact, I was an engaged community leader, volunteering as board member and committee member for any number of organizations, not just in the arts, but in the community, my daycare, my local residents association. I have always focused professionally on collaboration between institutions, organizations, and individuals to advance the concern of our community and the people who live and work within it. I was an active member and vice chair of Riverside Business Improvement Area in Toronto and understand the delivery of community programming and the responsibility of businesses to engage in supporting the communities in which they live. I've always worked from the grassroots to leadership level in communities and am familiar with community consultation processes, often being, and I have to say it, the person who asks the hard questions rather than staying quiet and not rocking the boat. So, fair warning. I have a depth of understanding of organizational issues from finance to legal. I have always worked well with elected officials and staff members at all levels of government as part of my advocacy initiatives and my consultation services. I've worked with provincial ministries and federal departments and advisor on policy and program development. It has been a great honor to be considered an expert in areas around, for example, temporary foreign workers, safe and respectful workplaces, equity and inclusion programming. As Jean Paul said, I think I can look back and say, other than just saying she worked very hard, I'm proud to say I made some changes in my professional world. I take personal responsibility for Nina Liakino being the artistic director of the National Arts Centre in Ottawa. And what are the most important issues that the township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands is facing? Well, as a rural resident, I have one set of issues. And I see that we do need to balance our focus on facing the realities of climate change and ecologically sensitive living with managing the waste, the infrastructure required to support our communities. For example, the Lansdowne Urbanization Project is essential because that village is kind of artificially stunted in its ability to develop. I do regret the loss of required development fees to townships and municipalities. That decision at the provincial level, I think, put a lot of the onus back on municipalities and townships, particularly rural ones who have limited taxation bases to fill development gaps in infrastructure. I have also seen in the village of Lansdowne what is happening with new arrivals to the village and to the area. We're seeing not just the mass exodus of retirees like myself from metropolitan centers. Some of us are returning to where we spent our childhoods. I was at Camp Hyanto every summer for years. My
Sarah, you're at 8 minutes. You have 2
oh my
minutes
gosh,
left.
I had no idea I was going to talk so much. So I look at the young families where actually our township's becoming a bedroom community for Brockville and Kingston. And I think in some ways we have to make sure we are filling the needs of those new families as well as filling the needs of the retirees and seniors who already live here. We do need to work, I think, at medical infrastructure in particular, figuring out how to lure new doctors to our community. I believe marketing and communication strategies around the vitality and value of the township is essential. I feel we need to humanize our conversations with our potential audiences. And finally, as a business owner, I'd like to think that we could really strengthen and work with small businesses. The rise of individual entrepreneurial businesses throughout rural areas, often operating in isolation and without even the money when they're starting up to join a chamber of commerce. There must be some way we can work with the townships to expand those opportunities and keep those businesses running. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? I have no hands up. Thank you very much.
You.
And we'll move forward with Todd Robertson.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to limp over here. I'm just happy to be out and about, to be honest, and speak to you again. I think it's been not quite 2 years since I last came before this group to speak to you about an application to fill a vacancy, and I'm pleased to be able to do so again. For those who haven't heard me speak before, I'll give you just a brief background about myself and then delve into the meat of the questions that were put out in advance. So my name is Todd Robertson. I come from a small municipality between Peterborough and Lindsay that pretty much mirrors this municipality. I was raised in the village of Omemee in the township of Emily. My mother was a counselor. I come from a family of people who are involved in public service. I served as a municipal counselor in that community. My father was in the fire service for 40 years. My nieces, nephews, siblings are all involved in law enforcement, post-secondary education, healthcare. Quite frankly, it's what we do. So, a little bit to the first question of why did I apply? Well, this is because what we do. This is what we do as a family. We believe in giving back. We believe in being guardians, so to speak, of public values, as opposed to traders of business. So I reside here in the township with my wife. Both of our girls have moved away to the comment that was made earlier. They moved away for education and employment purposes. Hopefully we'll come back. They're not far, but at some point we may be able to lure them back. My personal background, I've served almost 4 decades in the public service. I think when I was before you last time, I was looking forward to a career change, getting out of the public service. So I have got out of the public service, and I'm in a career transition mode right now, looking for other opportunities. One of those opportunities, thankfully, has been to serve the township on the Committee of Adjustment, which I've enjoyed thoroughly, and it's given me a great opportunity to get into all the nooks and crannies of the township that I hadn't before, as well as to rejuvenate my interest in procedure and process and ensuring that every citizen has an equal opportunity to come before a committee of the township and have an equal voice. And I think that's a key component of what I believe in and what I hope I would encourage were I afforded the opportunity to sit with this group. I currently also sit as a director on the board of the Leeds, Lanark, and Grenville Addictions and Mental Health Agency. Sit on the resources committee there. We're responsible for initial approval of budget and all human resources related matters. Big announcement, I don't know if everybody noticed it for that group recently, was for Heart Hub funding, which will go a long way to addressing some of the addictions and mental health concerns that are present in the United Counties area. And I was also recently selected as an at-large community representative for the Leeds County OPP Detachment Board. So that's in the initial stages of ramping up with some onboarding and training that will be required through the provincial government. I think my background working within the public service has always been a cornerstone of how I've approached life. And, as I said, my interest in returning to municipal politics was piqued last time there was a vacancy within this group. It drove me to continue to express interest to apply for the Committee of Adjustment, to, get on the board. And I think this time around, I'm, I guess if I would be fair to say, even more energized with respect to returning to the public eye, the public forum, and bringing a set of skills that have been developed over these 4 decades that I hope would complement this group here, and that would really lead to the next 20 plus months leading up to the next municipal election, would really lead to supporting this group in facing the difficult challenges ahead. And we've heard some of the other candidates speak of the international scene with the United States. I would highlight as well the 2 upcoming elections that we have, the one at the end of this month provincially, and then the impending federal one, which, date unknown, but we know what's going to happen in the near future. And, you may not get a change of political parties to deal with, but you're certainly going to get a change of mandate, and you're certainly going to get a change of focus. And I think I have a long history of interacting with municipal politicians, municipal departments, agencies, ministries on all levels, whether it be federal, provincial, or local. So that's part of what prompted me. I will say my very, very positive experience working with township staff on the Committee of Adjustment also prompted me to apply. It's a wonderful group. It's a well-run organization. And I think that breeds confidence in one's decision whether or not they want to be involved with a group. So a compliment to the staff and a compliment to this group. Kind of deal with the elephant in the room a little bit, because I think I'm the only one who doesn't live in Ward 2. So, I did have the question asked to me, why would you apply? You don't live in Ward 2. My response to that was twofold. One, this council, this group has made a decision as to how they want to proceed. And by making a decision to proceed the way they did, I interpreted that as geography not being the main consideration for their decision-making process. And I, therefore welcome the opportunity to put forth my qualifications and skills and see if they fit the priorities of this group. Quite frankly, if geography is the main consideration, then I fully recognize I will not be asked to join the group, and I'm perfectly fine with that. The other second reason why, why I would join, even though I don't, is I don't believe that any member of this table serves just the members of their ward. I think that any member at this table serves the entire township, much the same as, the mayor would serve, serving as the warden of the United Counties would not serve just this municipality, but would serve all the municipalities. And so that is, if you have any further questions on that, I'll be happy to answer them. Experiences from my personal life.
Sorry,
think-
Todd, I'm just going to interrupt you. You have 2 minutes.
I will be very brief then. I think I can hit the ground running. I've served as a counselor. I currently serve as on a committee here. So I think in terms of training and ramping up, it'll be very minimal. I'm a big believer in transparency. I have a vast experience working financially with large public amounts of public funds, and I understand the transparency and integrity required for that. The most important issues I think have been really articulated well by those who spoke before me, but I'll break them down briefly into 2 areas. Business, you need financial accountability and restraint while you're maintaining your current economic development and stability. Social issues, you've got healthcare, access to family doctors was already mentioned, as well as support for an aging population in rural settings, which is unique. You've got housing. I've mentioned mental health and addictions already. And I do want to highlight the fact that, one of those heart hubs will be located in Smith Falls, which is, just north of us, obviously, where we are. So In summary, it would be an honor to serve with you. I believe in honoring the past, celebrating the present, and preparing for the future. And I would be happy to do that with this group if given the opportunity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Any questions for clarity purposes? Thank you very much. Last, certainly not least, Brian Woodford.
Good evening, everybody. I am Brian Woodford. I am not from this area. Military guy, spent 37 years serving Canada wherever they call me to go. Very proud of that. During that time, I had an extremely successful career, way more than I thought it would be. And I thank my family for that, because without family and friends, you might have success, but you got nothing to back it up with, no one to share it with. It's one of the things about this council in this township. We can share successes together. I have a strong desire to serve. I've always had it. I joined the military when I was 17. I've never wavered in the desire to help others, especially those that are being put down. For me, that is a showstopper. I cannot tolerate see somebody put down and disadvantaged for absolutely no reason. I will stand up every time to support those people. And I know our township, it's a great township, but there are times with, if you have a wheelchair or crutches, you still can't get around. Prime example, I'm the first vice president, Poppy Chair, youth education coordinator at the Lyndhurst branch of the Legion. We're not accessible. We should be, but we're not. We will become that way, again, by collaboratively working together and creating a better place for people of the township to come through, another safe environment. I'm not afraid to try new things. Failure's just a lesson. Nobody fails, only if they give up. Fail, learn from it, move on, try something new, create a solution. Different views. Everybody at this table and behind me has a different view of things. Sometimes we will agree with each other, sometimes not so much. But working together, understanding the other side, and coming to a decision that helps everybody, and no one's going to be happy with everything. I know that. Sometimes I'll support a cause. It won't go through. I move on to the next event, knowing that something good still came of it. One of the most important things I have is an open mind. And that's one of the reasons I'm here tonight. I want to bring that here. Yeah, I'm not from this area. I'm learning a lot about this area. I've lived here for about 9 years now. There's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of people to talk to. And fortunately, I've been able to do that a lot, especially with the involvement with the Legion and the events that we run up there. For my personal and professional life, as I said, 37 years in the military, saw a lot of changes, saw a lot of different organizations succeed and fail, been a part of budget cuts many times over. Find a way to do everything you're doing with less money. Okay, chop off the less important things. Okay, reduce your budget. Guess what? You still have to do those less important things. People depend on those things being done. And that's one of the things that I've learned in my career. Look at all options. Don't rule anything out. You might be short somewhere, but okay, where's there an access? You have to look for it, find it, work with people that are working on the same wavelength as you. Responsibility and integrity. You learned that a lot in the military. Ethics. Had a lot of people depending on me in a lot of situations. Had to make short notice changes with little information. Change the plan as you go. One of the expressions I learned was bluff. Bottom line up front. A lot of times you don't have the time to sit there, listen to the story. Here's the idea. Now I'll backfill it. So you know what we're all talking about. Works wonderful in military aviation. That's where my career was. My family, I've got 3 kids, still on my original wife, thank God, because I would not want another one. You find something that works and you stick with it. It's like a township. I've seen lots of townships. I've seen good townships, not so good townships, all kinds of councils. But at the end of the day, it's where they all come together to work. I've received a lot of awards in the military for the work I've done. I've received the NORAD Trophy for my accomplishments in preserving Air Force history. I rose from being a private to a senior chief in the Canadian Armed Forces. I was in charge of professional development for all Air Force NCMs. Wonderful job. You got to impact everything that creates a soldier and builds them up. But to do that, you got to know who they are and what they are. From that, back to the grassroots, understand why they're doing what they're doing. And we saw big changes come in. My generation in the military is not today's generation. These new guys are coming in, they're like rocket science compared to what we were. They all have new skills. They all have new concepts of what they want to do and how they want to get there. And that's the same with the youth inside the township. They want to learn, they want to grow with the township. We have provide things for the youth and for all families. I've also got 2 grandkids. One of their favorite things to do is to come to the township. We go to the beaches. I take them around fishing. There's a lot of people in this township that don't get to experience that. We got to find a way to make that work for them. Most important issues that are facing the township, according to me. I listened to what everybody else said, and going last is not great. Some wonderful ideas came out, very well articulated, with a great depth of understanding. But for me, number 1 priority is quality of life for all residents of the township. Now, quality of life includes a lot of things. Facilities, cost of living, housing, jobs. A lot of prices, well, prices on pretty well everything have gone up. Saw my new tax bill. Guess what? It went up. Not as much as I thought, so I was real happy. Good job. But we've got to find a way to maintain the quality of life for our residents. We're passing a lot of costs on to them. Not everyone's getting a 5, 10%, even 2% pay raise. A lot of people are on fixed incomes. What are they going to do? A lot of people are too proud to go to the food bank. They want to do it on their own. They don't want people to know that they're struggling. They're tough people. But we got to find a way to ensure that all people in the township are taken care of. Find ways to improve or at least maintain their quality of life.
Sorry, Brian, you have 2 minutes left.
Perfect.
Thanks.
My daughter moved to Trenton last September from Winnipeg. She got a call today. She has a doctor. Now, 5 months, she's got a doctor. She was very lucky. Very lucky. We've got a lot of people that have been waiting years with no hope in sight. That we got to keep working on. Budgets for the township. As I mentioned, things go up. A lot of costs get pushed down to the council. You got to find ways to get the money without hurting the people. There's different ways to get fees, and looking at what went on with the budget, a lot of work was done. And I'm very proud to be part of the township for that. But still, costs are going to go up. International, a lot of issues going on, provincial elections, federal election, things will change. New mandates, new ways to make themselves look good, new ways to spend our money. But we have to be the stewards for our township and take care of the people in our township first. Last comment I'd like to make. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. I may not be selected. There's some really great people behind me with a lot of degrees. I don't have any university degrees. I'm just a common guy who worked his buns off for his whole life. Yeah, I went to university, got certificates. I've done a lot of military training, a lot of courses that have no civilian equivalents. So I can't wave those around. No one knows what they are. But I can guarantee you this, if selected, I will put 100% into everything I do because that's who I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? We thank you again.
Thank you.
Okay, so the clerk will distribute the ballots and then she will pick them back up. And then later on in. So they. Okay, so the ballots will be given back to the clerk and then tallied. And then we will so at 12.1, Counselor 2 appointment, that is the motion that will come forward to make it official. So that is number 12 on the agenda. There we go. So these are the candidates, council, that you have to choose from. Please choose one name and enter it into your ballot. Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Grau.
Excuse me, and thank you through your worship. Could we clarify any rules in events of ties or that sort of thing? Is it possible?
Go ahead, Madam
Are
Clerk.
there, could we expand that a little bit so that everyone is clear?
Certainly. So in the event of a tie, any candidate with 0 votes will be stricken off and we will do a revote. And then until there is a clear winner, we will keep revoting and striking off the candidate who has 0 votes.
Declining ballot, I think they call it.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for clarity? Go ahead.
Yes, just one last question. Is this an anonymous vote or is this a declared vote?
It will be a declared vote. I will read out which counselor votes for which candidate.
I would like to, at this time, if it requires, go in council to have that discussion because I think that is unfair. I think it's unfair to council members, although it purports to be transparent. There's not an election held that would have that to be the case, in my opinion. So I would challenge that.
Okay.
And I would, if that's the case, actually, I won't go if that's the case. I would challenge that and I would heartily recommend that that not be the case.
Okay.
And if that requires that we go in camera, which might influence an integrity commissioner chit-chat again, I'm willing to take the shot at it because I don't know how to have this discussion in open session. So I'm going to let you think about that because there's no rule either way. It's just that it seems highly unreasonable to me to put council members, even an election being held, you have the privilege of a quiet vote. And we should be afforded a quiet vote now. Thank you.
Madam Clerk. Or CAO, sorry. I'll let the CAO and the clerk confer as far as procedure and then we can. Well, if there's a quick, if there's a quick answer, if not, then we'll table it and then keep moving forward with the agenda. I'm not sure how long this might take, so please bear with us. Thank you.
Through you, your worship. So thank you, Councillor Gorell. So first, that wouldn't be an in-camera item that could come forward towards council. There's nothing in the municipal act that would allow that. The guidelines for council vacancy appointment procedure that were approved by council specify that this is how we're doing it. And this is an appointment, it's not an election.
If I might ask, through your worship, could someone refresh my memory when Councillor Olkey passed and what procedure we used at that time? Because I was trying to find staff report 8023 and 11283. I could not find them. They're very difficult to dig out because they were done in May, probably done in May of 2023. The appointments were done in May 17th and 18th of 2023. At that time, my memory is challenged, and I would like to further understand. I don't remember voting. I do not remember saying that this would be held in this fashion. I understand we were being presented with an appointment, and I maintain what I said before. I think it's highly irregular. Thank you.
Sorry, I have Deputy Mayor Fody. You have your hand up.
Thank you, Your Worship. And through you, I do recall distinctly how that last vote went. We were similar to tonight, handed ballots with our name on them. We were given one vote, one name to put on that ballot. The clerk collected those. The clerk and the CAO at the time went in the back room here behind us to tabulate those. The results come out and were put up on the screen. We as voters, as well as the general public, watched that screen to see the results because we did not know ourselves. That vote came out 5-1 in favor of Angie Kelman, and Councillor Lackey at the time asked for a recorded vote, of which time the clerk went around and did just that. And that's how that vote went. Thank you.
Your memory is very clear, and I'm glad that your memory's clearer than mine because I was struggling to remember the specifics, but you're entirely right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other clarifying questions before we take the vote? I haven't written down my name, so if anybody else has already done that, I apologize, but unless there's anything different, then we will move forward with the procedure. So the names are up on the screen and we will go forward. Sorry, you have a question again? Sorry.
Sure. Why don't we just take a show of hands? What's the point of writing on a piece of paper? Actually, there's, I understand the point.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's in the procedure. It's okay. You can just hold up your ballot for the clerk to collect once you're finished.
Through you, your worship. So thank you, everybody. Councillor Fode's vote is for Monique Antoine Hartley. These are in alphabetical order of councillors, by the way. Councillor Gorell is JP Jackson. Councillor Kelman is Monique Antoine Hartley. Councillor Lackey is Todd Robertson. Councillor Maybe is Monique Antoine Hartley. Oops. And Mayor Smith Gatke is Monique Antoine Hartley. So that is 4 votes for Monique, 1 vote for John Paul, and 1 vote for Todd.
Thank you. So it is my pleasure to recognize Monique Antoine Hartley as the new Ward 2 candidate that will be appointed here in number 12 on the agenda. So we thank each and every one of you who have put your name forward, and we appreciate those that have been interested in this process. We hope that, and don't take this the wrong way, I hope we don't have to do this again before the end of the council term. I hope that everybody is in good spirits, good health, and we can continue on. I know it's a stressful time for the applicants and the rest of council trying to make sure that we make the right decisions going forward. So, but we do appreciate everybody who made the point of putting their name forward, because it is an important part of the process. So, so you're welcome to stay if you wish, and if you don't wish, that's okay too. And we can take a quick comfort break in the meantime, and then regroup at that time, and then we'll move forward with the agenda at that point. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone, for the comfort break. I appreciate it. So it is 20 to 8, and we'll move forward with number 6. There's no in camera, nor is there number 7. So we'll move on to consent agenda. So moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that council rise and report from in camera.
You didn't read that one.
Right, my bad. Sorry, I just went and read it. So the motion is that from Councillor Maybe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that the December 2nd, 2024 and the February 3rd, 2025 public meeting minutes be adopted as circulated, and that the December 9th, 2024 and January 13th, 2025 council meeting minutes, December 2nd, 2024, January 6th, 2025, and February 3rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes be adopted as circulated, and that the December 12th, 2024 special county council meeting budget day minutes be adopted as circulated, and that the December 10th, 2024 Committee of Adjustment meeting minutes be received and filed. If council remembers, this is because we had meeting minutes that unfortunately did not attach. We went back, they were attached on our end, but for whatever the other side, we couldn't see it. So we sincerely apologize for the technical glitch, but it has now been fixed. Motion is on the table. Councillor, maybe go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. On the December 12th special council, on line 13, my last name isn't spelled correctly. Just a
We
minor little thing, but I thought
we can
I-
have that fixed. for
maybe I
you,
would
Mr.
find
Mayor.
it. Okay, thanks.
We just throw those in there to make sure people are reading the minutes. Any other errors or omissions? No hands up, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it's carried. Next item, I have to excuse myself. We are on number 10, so Deputy Mayor Fody will come forward to put the staff reports forward.
And I asked for somebody else to second this motion for staff reports, as I was the one that originally seconded this. Angie Kelman, thank you. Moved by Councillor Brian Maybe, seconded by Councillor Angie Kelman, that council approve the staff reports as recommended at the February 3rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting. Discussion on any or your choice of these staff reports, members of council? None at all? Everybody's got a clear memory from last week? If there's no further questions, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Fody. Moving on to information items. So the motion is from Councillor Maybe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that the information items be received and filed. So there are 4 things there that have come in and are there for your review. Is there any wish to discuss or bring forward anything else? Please go ahead, Councillor Crowe.
Excuse me, through you, Your Worship, on the new library board chair, I think just a hearty thank you to Brenda Lawley for doing what I imagine was an outstanding job with the library over the past couple of years, and for her dedicated service to that board. So
I think that is very well said, Councillor Gorell. Brenda was a very dedicated volunteer as a member of that board, and it wasn't always during the most easy time either. It was a learning curve for many, but we do appreciate her service on that committee and all those who continue to serve. So thank you, Brenda. and crew. Yes, and our CEO of the library, Cindy, is here as well, just to make sure that she keeps us in line. And our new member of the board, which is Cindy Healy, or the new chair, I mean, sorry, my apologies. It was a long week. I'm still trying to make up from this weekend. I'm sure you guys are all tired from Sealy's Bay as well. So thank you very much for stepping up and doing that. Any other discussion on any of the other items? Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, on 11.1, the Ministry of Transportation letter stating or talking about the crossings of railways and that they are moving forward with doing some of these. It's funny how it says 99% and that there is an exception to that. Do we know whether we have any exceptions in the township or whether some of the ones that have been mentioned in previous conversations have been covered with us?
Director Holliday, do you have any idea if any of our crossings regarding CN in regards to this letter are being let go or because if I'm not mistaken, this letter pertains to the relinquishment of maintenance of those particular crossings and then putting that additional cost onto the homeowner.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm unaware of any of the crossings.
Okay.
Follow up
ahead.
then, could we have report back how this letter might affect us? Or I know it's extra work trying to find all this information, but
Is it possible that our government relations person can give us all the affected crossings, the private crossings that would be in? If could we, I believe it's Daniel Salvatore. Eric Salvatore?
I'm happy to reach out to. I believe it is Daniel Salvatore.
Okay, thank you. So if you could reach out and ask how many private crossings we have to make sure that we're not missing anything. Because to the point that Councillor maybe is making, I think there are a lot of people that have maybe received these letters and don't understand the full ramifications of it. And we want to make sure, if at all possible, that we can also reiterate that those letters are serious and moving forward. Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fody.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. At the recent Roma conference, it was just touched in passing to the members there that the legal application to all this had passed its first hurdle, which I'm sure our CAO lawyer could attest to. It's a big move to get that first notch in your favor to proceed legally, and they have done that. So it's a process that's going to play out, but nonetheless, it's moving in the right direction if you're on our side of that equation.
So it's moving forward in response to homeowners' concerns about having to deal with these costly crossings.
Yes, remember, if I just to refresh everybody's memory, the municipality of Chatham-Kent last year at Roma had welcomed any other municipality to join them in a lawsuit, class action lawsuit. And that's what they're referring to, is that process. And it is proceeding with level 1 improvement at this point.
Okay. Any other comments in regards to any of the other information items? Just would like to reiterate the growth management study information that they're asking for input. That's coming from our planning department will be benefiting from some of the work that they are doing. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, or queries, please reach out to our director and or the planner at the county. Councillor, maybe go ahead.
sorry, Madam Mayor, I just reread one of the other ones, 11.4 with the LaSalle Causeway. Is there any information that a new structure is being designed, constructed, and put in place anytime soon?
Oh, that is a million gazillion dollar question. So all I know is that the temporary causeway that's in place is severely limiting marine traffic, which is a navigable waterway. The canal mayors have met a number of times. There was a letter that just was sent to the Minister of Transportation in regards to this, that it was not sufficient, because I want to say that it's 17% of regular access. and it's severely going to limit traffic on the Rideau Canal and therefore economic benefit or other, so. So all that to say is that the Rideau Canal mayors are continuing to pressure the federal government to find a solution and find it fast. Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'm gonna call the question on the information items. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it's carried. Okay. Next item is action requirement. So I have moved by Counselor Kelman, seconded by Counselor Corral, that the following individuals who have signified in writing that they are legally qualified to hold office and consented to accept the office if they are appointed to fill the council vacancy be considered for appointment to fill such vacancy. That the following candidate interview and voting process, council appoints Monique Antoine Hartley to the vacant seat on council for the remainder of this term, and that bylaw number 2025-003 be given first and second reading. Okay, discussion on the motion. I'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it is carried. So you are now the appointed individual. So we'll read the bylaw at the end and that's the third reading. Sorry. Just want to make sure I'm following the procedure. Otherwise I'll get in trouble. So next item is in regards to 12.2 purchase of 2024 Freightliner tandem axle maxi metal pumper tanker. Moved by Councilor Gorell, seconded by Councilor Lackey, that council receive fire report services 2025-002 for information, and the council approves the purchase of a 2024 Freightliner tandem axle maxi metal pumper tanker from Commercial Emergency Equipment Company as approved in the 2025 capital budget in the amount of $780,898.35 plus net HST. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead, Councilor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. As much as this vehicle has aged out, so it's time for a replacement, is there now a maintenance program for rust prevention on all the equipment? Thank you.
Go ahead, Chief.
Through your worship, yes, we've been doing our fleet every second year. We've been kind of working around that. We've had a couple of issues with the undercoating for our trucks because it doesn't let the actuator change on the air for the pump changeover. But yes, we've been definitely doing that every couple of years now.
Any other questions or comments in regards to the motion? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fody.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. If I recall, up at Roma, Chief, you were there for a delegation, but you were going to see this very truck the next day. Is that not right? And my real question is, what is the anticipated delivery? Is it here now?
Through your worship, yes, that was the truck I did go to see on the Tuesday during Roma. The truck is actually sitting in Station 4. We had an incident a week ago after a fire that we lost a secondary or a front run tandem truck. And we thought it was going to be out of service for much longer. The brakes overheated. I had to have it towed. So we're already one truck short with a tandem at this station that the motor has gone out of. So I didn't want to be two trucks short. So I talked to Commercial about the possibility of moving that forward. So that truck is available and it's in station now. So it's ready to go.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it's carried. It was a fairly safe bet since we approved it in budget. So I'm glad to see that we're not down any of our ability to fight any fires, whether it be structure or motor vehicle accidents, what have you. So thank you very much for the update. Okay. Next item is moved by Councilor Kelman, seconded by Councilor Gorell, that council approve the tender of OPS-2025-008 for the acquisition of a slip-in 2,600 gallon water tank to road maintenance equipment sales, RMES, in the amount of $35,616, inclusive of net HST. Discussion on this item. Counselor, I'm going with Counselor Gorell because you always manage. So I'll go with Counselor Gorell and then back to Counselor maybe. Go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Your Worship. I wonder if I could just get a general description of what a slip-in water tank is.
I'm sure the director would love to give you that description.
Thank you through your
He's been
worship.
waiting all night for the.
So when we're doing our gravel resurfacing or grading or anything like that, we have to put water on the roads. This is a large tank that we put in the back of the tandems that provides that water for watering our roads. So our calcium chloride program, it supports that anytime we're grading or anytime we're doing gravel resurfacing.
And suppressant, that type of thing, does that go in that as well?
No,
Suppressant, no.
no,
No.
we can. So that's the functionality of these tanks. Should we go to like, it's called a DLA, direct liquid application on the roads. These tanks, you change the nozzles and you're able to go to that. So if we did pre-wetting like they do on the 401, we're able to convert these tanks to be able to do that in the future as well. They're very universal.
Do they have, are they, what would they be made of? Are they polycarbonate type?
They are made out of poly, correct?
So they'd have very long life, I would assume.
I would hope so.
Very.
He doesn't want to come back and ask again is what he's saying.
Thank you.
And obviously they are made to molded to fit into the back of a 1 ton.
That is correct. We actually send the tandem up there and they
Mold it.
outfit it towards the end to fit directly into the truck with a bracket that helps support the tank being in the truck as well too.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Again, the tank that it's replacing has a leak in it, correct? Number one. I have a couple questions.
That is correct. So the tank, through your worship, the tank that we're replacing does leak currently. It's also undersized. We've had some challenges in the past with being able to keep up when we're doing our gravel resurfacing. So we're going from, because of the weight of the metal tanks that we've used historically, that takes some of our capacity in the back of the tandems. So we're able to have more volume of water instead of the weight of the metal tanks by going to the poly.
Yeah, so that's the other question is the material it was made, which was metal. And is it a rust factor that it's leaking or is there damage to the tank?
It is a rust factor, yes.
Okay. And then the final one is to remove and then install this tank. How is that actually being done?
There are a lot of videos online. This can actually be done with one operator in 3 minutes.
That's why I asked.
Versus right now with the metal tanks, we have a loader that has to lift them out. So you're able to just back this one off and stand up, and we have the barn doors on the tandem trucks that you can be off and going in 5 minutes with a dump truck
Excellent.
instead of a water truck.
Excellent. Thank you.
Awesome. Deputy Mayor Fode, did you have you're good? Okay. No other comments or questions, so I will call the question. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it is carried. Okay, last or not last, mayor's update. Just letting everybody know, as of February 22nd, 2 years ago, we lost Councillor Oki. So it is sort of auspicious that we be appointing another councillor to Ward 2 this evening. And even though it's not replacing him, in his memory and his contribution as well. So I think that he would be pleased to know that we're continuing to move on in our public service. Also, just want to let everybody know there is another event this weekend. The Lansdowne Agricultural Society here on Friday night is having a winter get together, sleigh rides and a whole bunch of other fun stuff going on February 14th. So if you haven't made plans to celebrate, head to Ridgeway Chocolate up in Sealy's Bay, buy something sweet, and then come down here and, you know, you can give it to her or him or them in the in the back of a wagon drawn horse ride. So there's all sorts of fun things. So we thank the volunteers who are putting that together. Just also want to reiterate all the fun things that happened this past weekend. So Sealy's Bay Frost Fest was an absolute success on Friday evening. I was able to get out for the fireworks, see all the happy faces of those using the lake to skate on. Thank you to all of the volunteers and all of those who gave a lot of time to make sure that that was successful. Also to our fire people who were out helping as well. And the fireworks were spectacular. I'm not going to say they're better than Canada Day because I don't want to offend anybody, but I think in a winter setting, it's always very cool. So, and it was quite a lengthy show. So thank you again to all of those volunteers. Saturday was Rockport Winter Carnival, and they had a great turnout as well. It was great weather. I think the weather didn't come in till later. And they had great and volunteers, European curling, chicken bowling, all sorts of fun things. And it's always great to see everybody get together on a cold winter day. And on Sunday, I attended the Sweetheart Brunch in North Grenville. So just a little bit of a challenge maybe to some of the community groups. I was thinking that something like that might work really well in our area. They have about 1,000 people go through it. It's a bit of a cycle. They have a hall that has about 200 capacity for 220. And the Knights of Columbus run it along with help from the Boy Scouts and some other community groups who get together and serve. But they essentially, the money comes in and the Knights of Columbus give it right back out. So they were giving, I think, $1,500 to the Scouts who were cleaning the tables. The Kemptville District Hospital Association got $2,500 and some others. So they, it's a great morning and it goes from like, I think 8 until noon. So just another example of community coming together and raising funds and giving back. So we thank all of those who give your time. It's an important thing. Any other announcements for anything going on? Go ahead, Councillor Mabey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. For some in our community, they may have gotten a email from Dr. Hart's office that he is retiring. So there are instructions in that to move forward with the Greenwood Medical is taking over because he didn't find anybody to actually take his service, his practice, unfortunately. So there are a good many people who are attending that and need to find something. So please follow the instructions and you can get into somewhere. And on a happier note, sweeter note, I did tap the trees this Saturday.
Great. Any other announcements, any other events that are coming up? Family Day is coming up. So I know there are a number of events going on for Family Day as well. Westport's having theirs on the Saturday instead of the Monday because there's other things going on. I just remember Mayor Jones letting me know that. So if you're looking for something to do with the Fam Jam on that weekend, maybe head out to Westport on the Saturday. Go ahead, Ms. Venditti.
Thank you, through your worship. Just to note that the third week of February is Heritage Week, so we will be featuring some heritage posts through our social media channels next week.
Perfect. And any other events? Okay, so we'll move on to announcements. Well, that was announcements, I should say. Okay, going on to bylaws. So moved by Councillor Gorell, seconded by Councillor Lackey, that third reading and final passage be granted to bylaw number 2025-003. That three readings and final passage be granted to bylaw number 2025-004, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands at its February 10th, 2025 council meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? It is carried. Okay, so now is the exciting part. So this is just getting you used to meetings. You have to stay till the end like the rest of us. So we'll administer the oath of office. Today?
Okay. So I, Monique Antoine Hartley, having been elected or appointed to the office of councillor in the township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands, do solemnly promise and declare that I will truly, faithfully, and impartially exercise this office to the best of my knowledge and ability. I have not received or will not receive any payment or reward or promise thereof for the exercise of this office in a biased, corrupt, or in any other improper manner. I will disclose all pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles III, and I make this solemn promise and declaration conscientiously, believing it to be a true and knowing that it is of the same force and effect as if made under oath.
So congratulations. So this is the exciting part. Councillor Antoine Hartley, would you like to assume your seat? You are now sworn in duly and signed. And you also get to vote on the last vote, which is now moved by Councillor Kelman and seconded by Councillor Grell, that council adjourn at 8:08. All those in favor of adjournment? All those opposed?